With 8 days to go before the South Carolina primary, the candidates are getting a warning from the GOP heavyweights, right? They're saying stop cannibalizing the front runner. Romney is taking heat over his work at Bain Capital. Rick Perry called him a vulture capitalist. Gingrich and Santorum slamming Romney as well. So Rudy Giuliani on Piers Morgan last night said, cool it.
Both Newt and Rick are good friends of mine. They are two people that would have a kind of inclination to support. I think their positions are closer to mine than even Mitt Romney's. Same thing with Rick Santorum. But I think the attack that they are leveling against Romney is not only an unfair attack, I think it's an attack that hurts what Republicans stand for, which is a free market economy.
We're going to talk about that with our political panel. In Washington, Democratic strategist Maria Cardona and CNN political editor Paul Steinhauser. And from Chicago, we have conservative commentator Lenny McAllister. Lenny, I'm going to begin with you. Did you ride your snowmobile in this morning?
I mushed the dogs in. We got an okay. And I saw Santa trying to finally get back to the North Pole with his reindeer. He had a little bit of difficulty with the snow, too.
Well, we're happy that you made it in. So let's talk about the leadership at the RNC telling Republicans to basically cool it. Apparently, Rick Santorum is listening. Let's listen to this, and then we'll talk about it.
We have a president who sees, well, America like King George III saw America at the Revolutionary War. A country that should be ruled for the benefit of the people.
So here's a potential problem, right, Lenny? Nobody has actually won the nomination yet. So is focusing on Obama a good strategy?
It is a good strategy. Here's the problem, though. You still have this civil war within the conservative base between the establishment Republican Party and the Tea Party movement that's never had a chance to pick a presidential candidate. And now you have the establishment who's not supposed to get involved in primary elections, all of a sudden saying, hey, cool off because we kind of have our nominee. This isn't good. This is not how democracy's supposed to work. Again, if you look 4 years ago, if that would have happened back then, we wouldn't have the president we have now. I don't think it's a great move for conservatives. It may backfire with the Tea Party really raising up in South Carolina and Florida, and it has the potential of being a big mess within the conservative base if this goes awry.
Okay, Paul, let's bring you in on this. How do you feel about that? You know, we don't have any polls since Iowa, right? And so, you know, how does this strategy work for Santorum?
Yeah, well, you know, Santorum, to his credit, was one of the few Republican candidates who didn't criticize Romney over his time at Bain. He says there's plenty to talk about when he was governor of Massachusetts. So he never went that extra step that some of the other candidates did. And since then, they've kind of taken it back because, listen, Republicans, all Republicans, not just establishment Republicans, are saying this is going at our core. Free market principles. Stop criticizing Romney on that. There's plenty of other things to talk about with Mitt Romney if you want, but not on that because you're just giving ammunition to the Democrats and to somebody like Maria Cardona.
So, Maria, let's bring you in on this. Is the Republican leadership essentially saying, let Mitt Romney win?
I think that's exactly what they're saying, and I completely agree with Lenny that, you know, if I was a Tea Party activist, I would not be happy right now because essentially they're telling me to shut up. And that's exactly what the Tea Party activists have been against for the last 2 years, which is they have an agenda. They don't think that the Republican establishment has been listening to that agenda, and this goes completely against everything that they have fought for these past 2 years. But what is also interesting is that, you know, this is definitely a fight and a tension between, and I've written about this, what I call, or for the soul of the GOP, because they don't understand which side it is that they want to placate, whether it's the Republican establishment, the more moderates who understand that if a Tea Party activist nominee gets the nomination, it's going to be very tough for that person to compete in a general election. But what's also interesting is that Mitt Romney has been basically practicing political jujitsu and moving to extreme positions to the right to try to placate exactly the Tea Party activists who don't like him and don't trust him.
All right, I want to deal with one more issue here. Gingrich apparently is one person who is not going to try to keep it clean here. He has another new web ad that we talked about yesterday that was out against Romney, and he has this one that compares Romney to Massachusetts liberals like John Kerry, Michael Dukakis. Let's listen to this because the ending is kind of weird here.
Massachusetts moderate Mitt Romney. He'll say anything to win. Anything. And just like John Kerry,
Laissez les bon temps rouler.
He speaks French, too.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Miss Romney.
But he's still a Massachusetts moderate. And a Massachusetts moderate cannot beat Barack Obama.
Lenny, very quickly, what's that all about?
I don't know. I guess it's trying to play off the, European socialism, but I mean, I don't understand why that's supposed to scare folks.
Maria?
Again, I think it shows the desperation within some in the Republican Party to try to find an anybody but Romney candidate. And the problem is if they don't coalesce behind somebody, behind Gingrich, behind Santorum, which probably won't happen, or behind Perry, which probably won't happen, Mitt Romney's going to run away with this. And I think that's what they're worried about.
Here's the deal. Paul, I got to let you have the last word.
Yeah, listen, they're taking a page from an old playbook. You remember the 2004 campaign trying to paint Kerry as rich, in touch with Europe, not a real American, all that kind of stuff. It worked back then with George Bush. Maybe Gingrich is trying it now.
All right, Paul, Lenny, Maria, thank you very much.
Thank you.